Howdy y'all, Joe Hills here, recording as I always do in Nashville, Tennessee, but for the first time I'm recording in Nashville, Tennessee in 2018. Yes, that's right folks, you heard me. We have iterated the year, we have incremented, and it is just an amazing time to be alive and flying around. Look at this. Got a little bit of stutter on the elytra, as people often do on a server, but you know what, that's okay. One thing we gotta do this year though, to kick things off right, is we gotta clean up this mess. You know, one of the problems with receiving gifts is you get so much extra wrapping paper afterwards. It can take a while to, consolidate it all. And you want to make sure that every piece that's possibly able to be reused gets reused. So, you gotta separate and sort and all that. So we're just going to kind of go through here. Let's grab out all this nice white terracotta. We can probably reuse that somewhere. Actually, we can certainly reuse that somewhere. Just a matter of finding out where. But anyway, let's see. We're not just here to talk about wrapping paper today. It is already a big day in the news. Well, and it kind of started a little bit in the last week or so. There's been some crazy stuff going on with Intel processors, which, as somebody who works with computers for a living, I gotta say, this thing is pretty insane. For those of you who are not following computer news, basically Intel made a mistake with their design that is allowing certain types of protected memory to leak during speculative execution of code. Now, that's a lot of words that really don't sound like they mean much. Speculative execution, is that where we have 5 suspects for one crime and we kill them all in case one of them was the guy? Actually, now that I'm saying that out loud, that's actually kind of really close to what speculative execution is. So the way it works is a computer, it takes time for the computer to do stuff, like follow instructions. So they might try to anticipate what the instructions will be, and then perform them in advance, but then only return what you actually ask for. So the way I was kind of describing this bug to my coworkers is it's like if we had a baker that worked for our company, and every time we had a client come in, we had the baker prepare a bunch of different types of pies in advance. We don't know if the client wants to have a pie with cherries, or a pie with limes, or a pie with lemons, right? So we say, hey baker, go ahead and create all 3. But then when the client shows up, and we say, hey, what kind of pie do you want? If they say cherry, we'll go ahead and throw away the other pies. We're only going to give them the one that they asked for. And we'll pretend that the other ones didn't even exist, because we already knew exactly what they wanted, because we're so amazing at thinking about, all of these things. And we're so good at anticipating our clients' needs. So, anyway, that's kind of what speculative execution is. So the problem is, it turns out that Intel's speculative execution thing, and once again, the details on this are kind of sparse right now. I'm speculating a little bit myself based on what I have been able to get from the Linux kernel mailing list and stuff. It looks like what's happening is that imagine if our baker in this scenario, we asked them to make 3 types of pies, so no matter what the client asked for, we'd have the right kind ready. Well, imagine if this baker was just I feel like I'm doing such a good job making these 3 pies, I'll make other kinds of pies they haven't necessarily asked for, just in case they try to surprise me by asking for them later, So let's say that we find out, our baker has also been making orange pies, and brisket pies, and pork pies, and also some sort of weird pie where they photocopied all of our driver's licenses and credit cards, and made copies of our car and house keys, and put those on top too. That's a little strange, So we go to the baker and we're like, maybe don't do this, because this speculative baking, it's fine when it's stuff that we might actually want, but when you're providing people with things that we don't want you to give out, that's a problem. And the baker goes, well, no one's ever asked for a pie that had your car keys in it, so it's not like it's been a problem before. And we're like, yeah, but now that people know once people find out that that's an option, they're going to start asking for the pie with our credit cards and our photocopied driver's licenses and stuff, and so what are we going to do about that? And it looks like right now the options that the Linux kernel team have come up with, and presumably the Windows teams as well, and Mac teams, although their stuff isn't as much in the public sphere at the moment. The options that they've come up with to actually fix this problem involve basically losing a lot of the advantages of speculative execution entirely. So what that means is that you're going to see slower performance because imagine if somebody asks for a pie and it's already baked, the baker just, says, hey, here it is. But now the baker's been told, hey, you're not allowed to make pies in advance anymore. You can only make pies that you're explicitly asked to make because we don't trust you. Well, now the baker has to wait for the person to come in and say, I would like a cherry pie, please. And then they start baking the pie. And that, I don't know if you've ever made a pie, a theoretical YouTube commenter. Feel free to comment with what kind of pies you have made, if so. But if you have not made a pie before, I will tell you that it is a time-consuming experience. It is not something that one simply does, without, like, you have to preheat an oven, you have to roll dough, you have to do a whole bunch of things that all take time. And so the people at the end of the day are going to get the same quality of pie that they've always gotten. The difference is that it's going to take and it's actually going to take the same amount of time to make the pie as it would have otherwise. But the difference is it feels like it takes longer to make the pie because they aren't starting work on it until they're explicitly asked for it. And so what this kind of means is that a bunch of stuff with computers is going to run slower now. And some of the benchmarks on this are like between 3 and 20% for like major database software and stuff. And most of you guys aren't running major database software at home. This isn't going to affect you too much with your personal computers, but for people who run like large cloud installations and things like that, if you run a data center, your data center just got 3 to 20% less effective for one of its most common uses. And that is going to be kind of crazy because now people all of a sudden are just like, well, what are our options? Well, we can switch to AMD, who doesn't have the same problem as Intel. But if you just bought, 3,000 Intel processors, you don't want to go buy 3,000 more right away. So you go, okay, we're taking a 20% hit. Let's buy another 600 Intel processors and hope we don't run out of space in the data center. Let's just absorb the speed losses by scaling, which is not always possible in every application, but in some cases, it'll make a lot more sense to people to just buy more of the Intel chips than to actually replace them outright, which is kind of frustrating because it's like Intel might actually end up being rewarded for this in the short term just because people all of a sudden are having to slow down their machines in order to achieve security that they thought they had all along. So this is going to be a huge mess, and it's something to keep an eye on if you're into computers at all. So, yeah, I definitely recommend looking into this if you have any interest in how processors work as well. It's really neat how instructions are executed at the processor level. And that's out of scope of this video, because this is a video about unwrapping gifts for later usage. So, I don't know. You know what I should do with all of this green? I should use this for the sky of my tree tunnel. Okay, yeah, see, we are making progress. We are doing great. This is awesome. Thank you again, Scar, for all this amazing stuff. Now that... Let's go ahead and make sure that we've actually got all the blocks out of here that we needed to get. But, anyway, so... Yeah, what is this for? Is this just for standing on, or for spawning mobs, or... I don't know. That's kind of strange. Maybe it's a decoration of some kind? But, regardless, I am very excited about Scar's kind and generous gift of the Elytra and the associated flying equipment. Let's go ahead and maybe let's pack this stuff up and take it back to our base area. Whoa, these ornaments are also so cool. Okay, it is really hard to fly up into where I'm trying to fly. I'm clearly out of practice. I'm more of a Hermitcraft flyer at this point. Get it? Because I'm not light yet. Okay. Anyway, we will do our best to not be bad at everything. And that involves practice. But yeah, so anyway, let's see. So that Intel news was big stuff. Other things I wanted to talk about today. We just got back from Dallas where we were visiting family. And let's see. I gotta say, it was kind of an interesting holiday trip because, like, we celebrated 3 different people's birthdays while we were there. Whoa, it says 2018. How did Minecraft do this? Did Scar build that? Huh. It's very numerical. I like it. Is this Scar's little wall here? Let's wow, it's so nice being able to zoom around. I was gonna say, let's go through our portal and head back to our base, but we can actually fly back to our base. Yay! A whole new year. We've got elytra fireworks. Thanks to a gift from Scar, we can glide far and further than we dreamed of. Anyway, let's go ahead and not skim the treetops entirely. Look at how close we are. See, I picked this base location because I knew it would be great for cool elytra trips. And my only regret is that I haven't built more cool stuff between the spawn area and my base. I'm just burning through these fireworks like crazy. I should probably be more responsible about that. Also, I should probably figure out where I want to store my extra flight gear. Because I don't think I actually have like a fireworks building, future lumber supply, future redstone supply, present medical supply. We just don't have anything in the medical supply at all. Let's go ahead and take a look here. We've got, well, the sugar canes we can clearly put in our greenhouse. Hey man, back off. Doo-doo-doo. Okay, so let's go ahead. That's the least practical way to place this. Yeah, we'll go ahead and unload that. Although I'm realizing in order to have room to unload that, we're going to have to probably get rid of a lot of this clay first. Which I don't really have a clay storage area, but I do have a stone storage area. And as far as I can tell, it's actually pretty empty. Yeah, so let's just go ahead and dump all this extra terracotta for the time being. Do not want to lose our flat box here. Red terracotta, explosives. Okay, so yeah, gunpowder and arrows. And then this is just like stuff I dumped out of my own inventory, I think, not stuff from Scar. But that's fine, because we can just, you know, kind of recycle all this back into here. No problem. Alright, so now we have an empty flat box. Whoa. For a second, I was worried that I had accidentally blown up the box labeled explosive, keep fire away. Dang it, Minecraft, you keep finding new ways to frighten and terrify me. I think... Okay, let's go ahead and empty out that sugarcane now. So anyway, we had a whole bunch of people having birthday parties down in Dallas. So one of the things we did was we stopped at the party store to buy balloons and streamers and ribbons and stuff. And we found a $20 6-foot-tall Mario helium balloon. And arguably, that's not the best use of $20, but I'm going to say we proved you wrong, because not only was the thing, I said 6 foot tall, it was 60 inches, so I guess that's actually 5 foot tall, but it's just this gigantic stand-up Mario balloon. It had weights in its feet, and so, like, the whole balloon would float to a standing position because the weights on the feet kept them, like, oriented properly. But this thing was a massive hit with my daughter, who just adored it, and it was kind of goofy, and the birthday boy enjoyed it as well. But where it really paid for itself was the a few days later when we were trying to get my daughter to take her nap, she was like, Daddy, the skylight in the room we're staying in is too bright. And I'm looking up at this skylight, and it's just a hole in the ceiling with glass, right? I'm like, there's nothing I can attach a towel to. I'm trying to figure out if I can make a tent over the bed with a sheet or something. Nothing. There's no dice. But you know what? You know what worked perfectly? Took the weights off the feet of that Mario, and he just floated right up to the top of that skylight, and he stayed there. It was a perfect fit. So, managed to get my daughter to take a really good nap that day. She didn't wake up for 3.5 hours. So, you know, $20 for a balloon that gets me 3.5 hours of daughter sleeping. You know, I figure that's worth it. You know, like some people drug their kids. I'm not gonna. But, you know, it's, I'm sure that they would have spent more than $20 on NyQuil. Probably not, actually. I think NyQuil's pretty cheap. Okay, that was not where I wanted to go. I don't really buy NyQuil. But, so yeah, don't give NyQuil to your kids. Buy large balloons. Anyway, what was I saying? I need to get back out of here now. So, I was really happy with that Mario purchase. But yeah, it's so nice to be back in Tennessee. Although it's not snowing in Tennessee like it is at Castle Ravenloft here. We are actually having a really, really bad cold snap. It was around 17 degrees Fahrenheit recently, which is like into the negative Celsius. I don't know what the plural of Celsius is. But yeah, I don't know. It's so nice being home, being back in Tennessee. Also, like, I didn't get to play Minecraft much while I was there, because we were just always busy doing other stuff. We visited a butterfly preserve, which is like a greenhouse full of butterflies, which is really good, because it was actually pretty cold in Texas, too. It was below freezing most of the days we were there, which kind of precluded much outdoor activity, unfortunately. Like, I don't know if you've ever had a child, but they really benefit from outdoor activity and really do not benefit from a lack of outdoor activity. Like, a lack of outdoor activity is the last thing they need. So, yeah, that was a little rough on my daughter, being stuck inside so much. But we tried to, I took her to a mini golf and bumper car place one day, and we played some air hockey, and, you know, stuff like that, just to get her a little bit of exercise here and there. But yeah, it was a good Christmas. Our biggest gift for the family is actually the trip to PAX South we've got coming up. Like, some of you guys were kind enough to donate via PayPal or whatever to the fundraiser I had for that. Which covered about a third of the trip's budgeted expenses, but the other 2/3 I just went ahead and made. Why am I flying out here? I need to go. I'm trying to go to the Catacombs. But the other 2/3 I covered out of pocket, so that's a pretty big Christmas gift for everybody. But it'll be nice to all be able to do something as a family and have some fun together. So we're going to be heading down there toward the middle of the month. So I'm hoping that I can have some content for you guys out of San Antonio around then. But let's see. And then the week after that, or the weekend after that, we're going to be going down to Catacombs. So that'll be good too. So not too many gifts under the tree this year, but a big trip coming up, and my daughter's super excited, and really we all are. So thank you again to those of you guys who chipped in toward that fundraiser. Let's see, what else have we got planned? Okay, so this is where I need to actually put the black wool in. You know, you would think, you know, I kind of went underground to get away from the lightning or thunder noise. Didn't help. For those of you guys who haven't been following my castle build, probably should give you a little bit of context. This here is the Catacombs, and they bury a bunch of people down here. And there's supposed to be bats all over the ceiling, and so I have gone in and put diorite on the floor, and I'm in the process of putting in black wool on the ceiling to give the impression that this place is just infested or covered with bats. I think it should be a pretty good thing, especially once we, right now we've got the brightness turned all the way up. Let's go back down to moody. Yeah, see, this works. I like that. That's a lot better. But yeah, so we got our brightness down, got our bats in our ceiling. Whoops. Not very effective there. I might turn that up a little bit because I'm a picky person. 45, 29. Should probably set it to 18 for 2018, but I'm not that thoughtful. One thing I also did during the trip was I read a book by Joseph Heller that I hadn't read before called Picture This, which is like a bizarre, almost Wikipedia-like history of a painting by Rembrandt called Aristotle Contemplating the Bust of Homer. And, like, basically Heller just goes through the production of this painting and talks about everything that was going on with Rembrandt at the time and before, and everything that happened to Aristotle at the age that he is in the painting, plus everything that happened before. And so the book ends up being a lot about, like, the Spartans and the Athenians and the Persians and Plato and Socrates, all through this weird, like I said, it's like Wikipedia-like, because it's like you're reading something about this painting, and it's like, oh, there's a bust of Homer in the painting, so then we're going to go talk about Homer for a little bit. And then Aristotle in the painting was studied, in Athens, and so we're going to talk about Athens. Oh, who are other famous Athenians? And then we start talking about all these Athenian tyrants and like the Athenian power structure, and it's weird. It's ostensibly a fiction novel, but and the dialogue is like hilarious and goofy, so that's how you kind of know it's a Joseph Heller book. But it's because he wrote Catch-22. He's famous for absurd dialogue, but like the actual history in there is fairly accurate. There's a little bit of metaphor for Cold War America and Russia with the Athenians and the Spartans, but like on the whole, it's actually a pretty solid read in terms of like a primer or a rough guide to Greek history as well as Dutch history, plus a bunch of stuff about New York City, because that's where the painting eventually ended up. Anyway, so yeah, if you're looking for a really weird book, Picture This by Joseph Heller. It's an interesting read. Wow. Okay, so I think that we've probably gotten a little bit of cleaning up done today. We got some wrapping paper done. We got some catacomb work done. I really need to go through and figure out what I want to use these boxes for, because I am sure that I have building tower parts that I need to do and I need to think about. I'm just like, I've been out of the game for so long. Oh yeah, I've got that whole nether hub I was working on. I'm going to have to get some iron to shear sheep for that. But anyway, I think this is an interesting way to kick off 2018 with a massive intel problem, a weird book by Joseph Heller, and some random cleanup of stuff around the server. Oh yeah, and the Gift of Flight. The Gift of Flight is the best. Anyway, until next time, y'all, this is Joe Hills from Nashville, Tennessee. Keep adventuring.